She thought her parents' divorce didn't affect her, but years later she realized that it was at the root of almost every wound in her life. A 26-year-old woman recently shared her story anonymously with me. She said this: I was born out of wedlock when my parents were both 19, as was my brother. They got married, but I was already doubtful of their love for each other. Their constant arguing fed this doubt. I can count only one instance of witnessing my parents being affectionate toward each other. Looking back, I felt like we were living a lie. I never felt settled in our home together. Eventually, the stress of raising 2 kids and succeeding in college proved difficult for my parents. My 11-month-old brother went to live with my grandma to relieve some of the stress. When I was around 7, I begged my parents to let me live with my grandma as well. I miss my baby brother terribly. While living with my grandma, I learned of my parents' separation. Being raised by my grandma was extremely tumultuous. We lived below the poverty line and struggled to stay in stable housing. My grandma would constantly compare me to my mother in derogatory ways. Over time, my mom grew frustrated and stopped calling. My dad lived in another state and called sparingly. Eventually, my dad moved in with us, but we were still estranged from my mom and her entire side of the family. It wasn't until my grandma kicked me out of her house due to false accusations and sent me to live with my mom that I was reunited with her. My grandma also painted such a poor image of my mom in my mind that I thought being sad about the divorce would be akin to feeling sad that my dad was no longer trapped in a bad marriage, which felt like betrayal. Today, I'm grieved by my parents' divorce as I see it as the catalyst to the various other traumas I experienced. When I asked her, how did the divorce impact you? She said this. She said, I have significant trouble setting boundaries regarding things that I feel will make the other person sad or angry. I am generally a hard shell to crack and keep my cards close, even amongst friends. Marriage feels impossible and unattainable. I have no idea what it's like to belong to a healthy family dynamic. I have significant relationship anxiety and have gone about relationships in unhealthy ways to gain affection. For most of my life, I've felt unlovable and lonely, even when many people have shown me great love and granted me companionship. I have a hard time believing in love. My relationship with God is sometimes felt very transactional and rigid because I doubt his goodwill toward me, especially when I fail. I'm also mostly estranged from my dad's side of the family and my younger brother. Being estranged from my brother causes me the most anguish. By the grace of God, I believe my experiences give me a higher tolerance for pain, and I am always learning more about suffering well, especially after my conversion to Catholicism. Man, this story hits hard. If I could talk to that young woman, here's what I would say. I would say, my heart breaks with yours. You've endured so much, and it makes me both sad and angry to think of that little you, that 6 or 7-year-old you, going through things an adult should never have to face, not to mention everything in the years that followed, especially being estranged from your little brother. And I really hope that that situation has improved. I can totally relate to what you said about marriage feels impossible and unattainable. I felt the same, especially about relationship anxiety, but thankfully, you don't have to stay there. What helped me, I learned to love in my friendships. And once I started dating, it was still scary, but I did it scared little bits at a time. And in time, it became less scary and I got better at relationships. And now I've been married for over 7 years and I'm not special. Like, if I can do it, you can do it too. Don't count yourself out. And I felt similar about my relationship with God too. My relationship with him has felt a bit transactional, like he'd provide for me as long as I was useful to him. But thankfully, my relationship with him has improved a lot, and yours can too. I highly recommend consuming good content like Father Mike Schmitz and getting a trained spiritual director to guide you. I'm so glad you found Catholicism too. My faith has been so key to my own healing. It saved me from a really bad and dangerous path that I was going down, and it brought me amazing people who have helped me grow, like all of my mentors especially, and there's so much hope even if it doesn't feel like it. On the topic of pain, I haven't always handled my pain well in life, but over the years, I've learned lessons from people who have. And so I wanted to humbly share a talk that I gave on the topic of suffering. It's called Better Not Bitter. It's free on YouTube, and it offers 9 practical tips on how to find meaning in your pain and better handle it. It's full of amazing stories of people who've handled suffering heroically. And so thanks so much for sharing your story. If you want to share your story anonymously with us, we'd love to hear it. Just go to our website to share your story.